Okay, so nothing. What is up, everybody? This is William Tiller, joined by my co-host Patrick Morrison, and this is 10-4 Broadcasting. And tonight we are bringing you action out of the International Racing League live from Phoenix. This is week number 4 here in this series, and Patrick, from the race we had last week, man, we were in it for another great competitive event here tonight.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see how this one works out, Will, here at Phoenix. I knew the drivers last week were kind of having a blast racing around with each other, but I know a lot of guys said they weren't real comfortable with how this track goes. So with that open dogleg setup, it's definitely going to pose a challenge for these drivers here tonight, Will.
Yes, sir. And for the folks that are unfamiliar with Phoenix, sort of like myself here, what does that exactly mean there, Patrick, with the open dog leg? What does that change for the track here tonight?
Well, they've actually kind of moved the start-finish line to a different area, so to speak. When you're trying to kind of dip down, that you notice pit road is going to be a bit of a problem on a different turn. So normally, your turn one, you would be able to kind of dive down a little more, as you see here, I believe, of the number 1 car with Colette. But they've moved the finish line, and that's just going to give somebody a little bit of trouble heading down the front stretch there, Will.
Jeez, and talking about finish lines and finishes, Patrick, that race last weekend, or last week here in the International Racing League, man, it was really a 3-car race there towards the end, Patrick, but we saw a lot of strategizing going on. We saw a lot of give and take going on between the leaders. It was really a 3-dog race, if you will, between Dakota Todd, Taylor, and Hernandez up there. You know, Hernandez and Taylor kind of gave it their all. We saw Taylor get up there in the lead, but Dakota Todd really waited his opportunity, kind of took notes, strategized a lot, and once he saw those boys kind of fighting it out, he took his opportunity from, I can almost see it in my head right now, Patrick. He went to the inside, past both of them that were high side on the track, and never looked back from there, and I believe he won the race by almost about a second and a half, 2 seconds after that pass.
Yeah, and that was a heck of a move, and really kind of clutch there at the end, Will. I mean, I don't know about much of this one. Most races you see, you'll kind of have that leader do real well about the first 2/3 of the race, and then the upset. I notice some people that you finally find your line, and then who you wouldn't expect will end up out front, Will. So I mean, I'm not going to call any names tonight because I don't. I don't want to give anybody the commentator's curse, but I am
Yes,
definitely
sir.
not sure on this one.
No, it's really an open race here tonight. The Phoenix Speedway just really opens the door for a lot more tricky racing here, Patrick. You know, you don't really have true straightaways or backstretch here. It's almost like one big curvature track. It almost reminds me of when we call modified racing because it's that sort of corner, sort of banking going on. You know, you really can't get the 3 wide, the pushing and shoving that you really see at a bigger speedway. This one, you're really going to start to see the cars, more strategy as we talked about last week in that race. You're going to really see it more here tonight because you're going to have to pick your points on this racetrack, Patrick, from what you were talking about here. You know, it's not the most easiest racetrack to drive here in the series.
No, not at all. Not at all. And see here with Colette out here going ahead and giving a good qualifying lap, trying to make sure he places up front. It's very difficult to race side by side here. I mean, there's plenty of room, but you do start kind of running that one lane. It seems to be favorable almost mid to high line in turn 2 and 3, but definitely when you get to that dog leg turn, a lot of people you'll see, which it will it will seem very crazy as they will dive down and almost try to touch that inside wall where pit exit is, and then try to shoot through and actually try to cut the track in half. But from NASCAR standpoint, they've checked timing on multiple drivers, and you really don't pick any speed up, is what they say. But some drivers have found some success. Go ahead and cutting that dog leg in half there, Will.
Yeah, Patrick, we're taking a look at that one car here of Colette, getting that qualifying session in here, Patrick, and it looks like he did take that pole position away from Johnson. And Zachary did jump in the chat before this race, before qualifying began. He said, "Let's have a good night here, boys." And couldn't agree more with Zach there. And Zach really gave it his all last week in that 24 machine, but really faded. It was really tire wear. I like how in this league you really have to strategize. I keep saying that word strategy because it is a strategic racing that goes on here in the International Racing League between tires, fuel mileage, and we saw it last week as well. Dakota Todd took advantage. Oh man, got really loose there, took advantage of the tire wear between Hernandez and Taylor there. And as we spoke to Hernandez after the race there, he spoke about how his equipment just sort of failed on him, Patrick. And in a race like that, what do these drivers really have to keep in the back of their head as they're racing? And for the people that are unfamiliar with simulator racing here in iRacing, how does this really kind of compare to real NASCAR drivers and what they have to put up with each race?
Well, you do have you do have equipment failure sometimes. I mean, we are running on computers. You got steering wheels, pedals, shifters, that sort of thing. But it's not just the equipment. I mean, even yourself as a driver, you have to condition yourself. You can't come out here and, oh man, I'm going to run 400 laps at Charlotte. I mean, you will be burned out by 75, and you got to slowly work your way up. So I know some drivers you end up like the real time. These guys will end up with cramps in their legs, arms, backs, things like that, and it's just it's really a punishing sport. It really is. I mean, it may be no contact, physically, but I mean the car, you're trying to make the car do what it doesn't want to do, and force it to do that, to stay fast. So it's with them being able to battle out here tonight, door to door, and you see how these cars, they put them within inches of each other's fender. I mean, that takes a lot of respect, a lot of discipline to be able to maintain your cool to get around this track here tonight, Will.
As we're taking a look at Patrick Hernandez here, Patrick, maybe we could jump on board here as he makes these qualifying runs, just a way we can give the folks at home a better point of view of what this track looks like here. Patrick does have a win on the season here, picking up a big win at Auto Club in our first broadcast here in the International Racing League.
There you go. You see how he kind of cut that dog leg off there? Instead of riding that outside, which can start causing a whole lot more right tire wear, you'll go ahead and cut off to the inside, which will kind of give you more of a straight line. But there is a backside to this. That does drop you down on the apron. And if anybody knows from any sort of racing, you don't want to touch below that yellow line. It's above is where it gets real tacky. The rubber sticks, and down toward the bottom is, it's going to be really slick, almost like new pavement. So you want to stay up where it's tacky instead of driving on the ice there, Will.
Talking about tacky, that 19 machine has stuck his car right at the top of the grid right now, Patrick, as he just snatched the pole away from Colette up there at the top. And I was going to ask you, as we were taking an onboard ride with Patrick there, the things that I'm fascinated the most here in racing, and we see it in the modifieds, we see it in the stock cars, and a lot of the other series that we call here at 10-4 Broadcasting, is the acceleration and deceleration on these corners. What is it like here at Phoenix when you're in a race like this? As far as the corners, are you taking your foot off the gas a little bit? Are you able to keep it going on some of these corners here, or what's that like here at Phoenix?
It's all developmental on how the tires are wearing. I mean, obviously, when your tires are starting to wear down a little farther through the race, you'll notice guys kind of let up a little sooner and in it a lot later. You do want to let the car turn and kind of catch up to you rather than overpowering the tires, because Phoenix is not friendly to the right rear on these. So what you end up having to do is kind of dive toward the inside, let the car roll into the turn, and then accelerate through it. If an inexperienced driver will kind of push into the turn, kind of like dirt racing, and then you're gonna end up with a mess on your hands. If not, put a whole lot of unnecessary tire wear. So I mean, I'm really interested to see if Patrick Hernandez can kind of keep this out front, along with saving his tires, because I know Colette in the number one car, he's not. It doesn't like losing that pole position right here in the beginning of the race.
Not at all, Patrick. As we have a second to do so, as we are gridding up to get this race started here at Phoenix in the International Racing League, do you want to jump over to the YouTube chat there? We love reading this off of the drivers and everybody involved that might be watching at home. We got Jonah Wood saying, "Sup, homies? Two Mountain Boys about to run good tonight in the 5 and the 8 cars. Come on," he says. Saw that 5 car get a little loose on their qualifying lap, but we'll be curious to see how they do here at Phoenix. Zachary Johnson. He's Zachary plays there on YouTube. Said, let's have a great night, boys. And like I said, couldn't agree with him more. We got Logan Russell says, let's go Whitehead and Hutchinson. So keep an eye out for Whitehead and Hutchinson in this race here tonight at Phoenix. We got Dave Whitehead said, Whitehead and Hutchinson team to beat tonight. So definitely a lot of confidence in that team, Patrick, heading into tonight. And Mason Carnett says, boogity, boogity, boogie, let's go racing, boys. And again, Zachary Johnson says, let's do this. So a lot of excitement, a lot of people pumped up for the race here tonight in the International Racing League. We couldn't be more excited to be here bringing you this live action. Again, this is week number 4 in this series, and me and Patrick always have a blast up here in the booth. But here we go, folks. Let's get that green flag racing. Let's get the action pumping and going here at Phoenix. The green flag is in the air. Let's go racing here in the International Racing League.
All right, Patrick Hernandez with your pole winner, getting ready to take on the green flag after this turn with Colette in the number 1 car. Coming in second, Toby Kelsey and Stone Hutchinson. Zachary Johnson to round out your top 5. We got Adam Kulikowski in 6th, Lucas Whitehead in 7th, Brian Toller in 8th, Alex Mulnix in 8th. In 8th place there as they get ready to fire past that line there, Will. Good Lord.
You see Patrick's got a big jump already on that corner. Went way low. You're going to see that here on Phoenix. Going to dip below that yellow line as he's leading them down the backstretch right now here, Patrick. We got Kelsey right behind him. Hutchinson in 3rd. Colette in 4th right now as they're heading down into the corner. And around to that start-finish line there, folks. And this is the open dog leg here tonight. And Hernandez is going to go ahead and lead the first lap here tonight, folks, in the International Racing League. This is an 80-lap shootout here at Phoenix. But, boy, they are action-packed laps going down to the finish. As we see, there's a battle ensuing right now. That's the 5 and the 8 machine right there. Those are teammates from what I'm hearing. Maybe just a little give and take between teammates there, Patrick.
Yeah, everybody kind of racing real safe right now. We do have 80 laps to go. 80 laps total, excuse me. And we got about 70, 75, 74 to go. But, man, this is going to be rough. I'd be very surprised not to see a caution here, Will. Because, I mean, these guys are really diving into these turns on these cold tires. So I hope it'll hold up. Because, man, these guys are racing real tough right now.
Yeah, but as we saw in the race last week, you know, what we see in the first half or even in the last quarter of the race is no implication of what's going to happen towards the end. Because you saw Taylor and Hernandez battling up there towards the end, I think less than 20 laps to go, Patrick, in that race. And their equipment started to fail on them. You know, they started to put more wear on the tires, as you just mentioned. You know, the fuel mileage started to come into play. And with that, Dakota Todd saw that happen, and he started to see their lap times go down. He made that move on the inside and checked out with about 5 to 10 laps to go and won the race by 2 seconds. So a lot of this could just be strategizing, picking your moves. Like you said, though, you don't want to wear those tires too much in this race and give another guy maybe way behind you an opportunity to pick up that win. As one of the names I do want to keep an eye out for, I mentioned him in the YouTube chat as we started things out here, is Zachary Johnson. You know, Zachary Johnson has really run strong the first 75% of these races, 50% of these races. We saw it at Auto Club. We saw it last week as well. But it comes into what I have mentioned just a few times here is that equipment. You know, Zachary loves to ride that car hard to start off the race, puts himself in great spots. Patrick up inside the top 5. You know, he was racing for the lead there for a minute last week as well. But by doing that, as you mentioned, it's a lot of wear in your race car and really puts you out of contention there towards the end.
Yeah, and that's like you were saying, it's not just equipment, but it's also you just taking the beating, around this track. And Phoenix, it's the turns are never the same. Turn 1, the dog leg, and then even turn 3 and 4. They're not the same. As you can see, Molnax there kind of goes down by a lap. He may be having some car trouble here. And hopefully no one else is going to get kind of tied up. I believe, what do we got? We got Toller he's kind of getting tied up in that as well. It's just kind of a bummer. So,
oh no, and there it is right there.
Whoa.
Oh gosh, you saw Molnix go up into that 2 car right there, Patrick, and That is not good. I believe that might bring out a caution flag here at Phoenix, our first caution of the night here, folks. And what I was just about to refer to is Patrick, in the chat before this race kicked off, we did hear about some of the drivers having problems with their feedback and their steering wheels. And we might have saw it right there in that nine machine there, just really had his settings to a super speedway or a larger speedway. Just having difficulties getting around those corners, as you may have seen. Yeah, just got locked up right there.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure. I mean, that was a kind of a weird, hit there. I don't really know exactly what in the world happened. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm hoping that's a feedback problem because earlier, I mean, from here, man, I thought somebody had some bad blood from a from an earlier spot because man, I just wasn't sure there. Well, we'll give it one more shot here.
yeah. Well, we saw the nine machine leading up to this, having difficulties making those corners, and you commented on it as well. Saw him having some issues there in that cockpit, and might have been just the wheel just wasn't turning for him there, Patrick. And for the folks at home that is unfamiliar with iRacing and the setups required here, what is feedback and why would that come into play here on a track like Phoenix?
Well, normally, a steering wheel, if it didn't have feedback, you would just kind of gliding around the track. What iRacing has done, and some of the other uh, racing committees and things like that, where when the developers make the game, is actually to help you feel what the track feels like in the steering wheel. So feedback is the actual amount of pounds or newton meters per inch that you're going to feel as you're turning left. The steering wheel is actually going to turn right back against you. So you actually have to apply more force to the left to stay left, and that's where you get the feeling of the car heading through the track. So I mean, it's extremely important here at Phoenix because if you don't have any feedback, your car just kind of floats. You're kind of guessing. It's the same as using an Xbox controller or something like that. You don't really have the feedback other than what the joystick would be. Is you want feedback, but I've heard that there's a possibility of having too much feedback, and then you're battling the car all night, and by that point, your arms are so swollen up, you might as well go drink a protein shake after you're finished. But yeah, to me, feedback is everything. I can't drive the car or know what the car is doing if I don't have the feedback of what the car is doing, while I'm making the race, or will.
Right, and we may have seen it right there in that nine machine. Molinax might have had his feedback, as you mentioned, just a little bit too much on there, and it was forcing him to get around those corners. You didn't really see much glide or much, I'd say, looseness of that race car. Couldn't really maneuver it too well, and it was just really battling it throughout those corners. And you saw it right there. He just, unfortunately, that two machine was right there on the high side and collected him in that unfortunate accident. And I believe Molinax has retired from tonight's event, so. You hate to see it there in that nine machine, but no change up there at the top right now, Patrick. Still got Patrick Hernandez up there. You got Colette up there as well. You got the 5 and 8 cars have worked their way up there into the battling for the lead as well there, Patrick. But as you mentioned, is that Patrick Hernandez going to be able to keep that momentum, keep that equipment nice and fresh up there, pull out this race victory here tonight.
Yeah, and he's kind of cruising up there. He did have Colette kind of keeping him honest. Didn't really give him anywhere to really go there. So, but he's gonna have his hands full because I believe that one car is gonna be looking to get a good jump on him. Let's see if we can get a good overshot here. That way we can go ahead and see this excellent restart.
Here we go. This is a funny restart here, Patrick, from what I've seen so far. It's almost like a modified restart where you almost have to cruise around a corner, and then you're able to jump just like Patrick Hernandez did right there in that 19 machine. Got a huge jump on that restart.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out. I'm hoping 5 isn't going to get nailed. Now, he didn't change lanes, but he did pass the start-finish line before him, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a problem later on here.
Right, but you got Hutchison and Colette that are side by side right now for second place down the backstretch. You got Johnson up there as well. Kelsey's up there. Whitehead is up there as well. They're battling it out up there, Patrick.
Yeah, Kelsey. Kind of falling off there. I knew he was up there in the second place, kind of kind of tumbling around in there a little bit, but he's kind of dialed it back here. I'm hoping he's not having a problem too, because I know. Ooh, wow. Sorry. You see that 24 car blink there? Ooh.
Yeah.
As an iRacer, man, to me that's the sign of death. Is when you have no idea where that 24 car was, and yeah, and then all of a sudden he reappears. Hopefully not in your line. So, wow. Okay, yeah, but sorry. But yeah, hopefully he'll be able to kind of keep that down, and race control keep an eye on him for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and you see that 24 car with those issues that he's having, and there he goes. He's sideways right now, Patrick. I was just about to mention he's losing positions on the track, and you hate to see it out of that 24 machine to Zachary Johnson because, as I mentioned during this broadcast here, he's one of those guys that I've tried to put his car into contention week in and week out here throughout these broadcasts, but just has had an issue getting that car across, Patrick, and it's just, whether it's tire wear, or, you see him up there in the top 5, top 3, and then he starts to fade back there towards the end, but tonight you just saw it there with having some issues with the connection, if you will, the net code. We don't like to mention it here, but with that, we saw him lose 2 positions on the track and then get a little Tokyo drift sideways there for a minute.
Oh, speaking of drift, there you go. Colette having to kind of ride up that track a little bit. I think these guys may be having a little bit of trouble here in these Xfinity cars. So I know the ARCA cars that I've seen race here before, they do end up with the same kind of tire wear issue, but they're a little more nimble. They're not as heavy or as wide as the Xfinity cars are. So these ones are a little more of a handful to get around the track. But regardless, they're still fast. They still handle quite well. It's all going to be about tire conservation, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's definitely comes into a big point of impact here in the International Racing League. And Patrick, I was going to ask you about that corner there. You see some of the drivers that go way low below that yellow line there to try to come back up onto the track. And for folks that are familiar with NASCAR, man, that was close there. Familiar with NASCAR, what's the benefit of going down low there, coming back up on the track, and maybe what's the disadvantage of staying high there on that corner?
Yeah, well, it's if you can kind of straighten out the turn, because as you see the dog leg, if you were to follow above that yellow line, you're going to take it really wide and actually put a lot more wear on those right side tires as we get going right down here to the front stretch. So we should kind of see if they decide to go ahead and duck down. And what it'll do is it'll kind of straighten the turn out, because you'll see it'll kind of swoop a little too much, and it's not what you want, because you kind of see how you want it, kind of angle to the left. Now, yeah, you do get a little bit of the advantage of the bank of the turn, but sometimes you can flatten it out and kind of, instead of turning, let's try breaking it out a little simple. If I'm turning, I'm losing speed. So if I can get more down on the apron to a flat spot, I can pick up more speed by going straight.
Okay.
That's as easy as I can explain before I get too technical on you.
Hey, that's all right. It almost reminds me of like on a road course, like a Watkins Glen, or maybe even playing a different video game there where you want to try to take that, the cut through the grass. You kind of want to make that shortcut and try to get through the rest of the pack there. But as you were mentioning there, almost taking that road around those corners there does play a big advantage, and like you said, straightening out that corner.
Right, but it does have its disadvantage. What I was saying before is if you're on that apron, I mean, that thing can be slick as ice. So,
Right.
it's when the tires start wearing down and start getting real slick. I mean, yeah, because you see how the car right up there, I believe that was Colette that kind of took it straight there, and you see he's pulled away by just under a tenth. And it's kind of a numbers game at that point. You're just kind of adding it up and just kind of pushing out there just a little more each time. So, especially with these guys who are kind of, falling off a little bit there, as it looks like. Yeah, the 8 car kind of starting to kind of push him around. I believe that's Lucas Whitehead. Definitely no one to budge there, but he's definitely given the 5 car, Stone Hutchinson, a run for their money.
Yeah.
Man, I thought you said these guys were going to be up in the front today, but yeah, if these guys have raced well together, boy.
Oh no! And the 8 and the 5 take each other out there right on the backstretch, heading towards the start-finish line there, Patrick.
Whoa.
That should bring out a caution as you start to see the rest of the field slow down. We should have our first caution of the night here, folks, and a lot of fans for that 8 and 5 machine here in the chat, so you hate to see that the teammates took each other out there.
Wow. Yeah. Kind of. What a bummer. What a bummer, man. Yeah. That kind of stinks. That way working out like that. Yeah.
Gosh,
I
but
hope they'll be able to kind of get this put back together and kind of straighten up here. I knew they were going to race side by side. I figured if they were teammates, they kind of knew what the other one was going to do. But that didn't work out, did it?
no, and you're getting live reaction right now. Just before that, you had Dakota Ashley say, "Let's go, you East Tennessee Mountain Boys," and Jordan Mitchell said, "Let's go, Stone." And just a second ago, Patrick, just as that happened there between the 8 and 5 machines, you had Dakota Ashley saying, "No!" And as you saw, both of them unfortunately bounced right off of that inside wall there, and man, you hate to see it. Logan Russell just jumped in the chat as well. Said, "Come on, boys, ridiculous." So, man, a lot of reactions of what we just saw on the track there, Patrick.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely kind of a bummer there. Because if you kind of, let me see if I can get you another shot here. As these two go up, and you kind of see how the 5 car of Stone Hutchinson rides to the outside, you'll see him clip the wall, and that's what ends up unfortunately causing this. Is right there, he kind of clips the wall, and then you see the ricochet comes off. Eight's holding his line, and it gets them both turned around. So, yeah, that's
Oh gosh.
that hurts. That hurts.
Ugh. And you
But
hate to see it, but I think they do get a fast repair in this league, Patrick. So as unfortunate as that event is for both the 8 and the 5 machine, they will be able to get those race cars back out on the track and hopefully get back in contention here, folks. And man, that is not good to see between teammates, that's for sure.
no, it's not. But I'm glad to see the rest of the field didn't get caught up in that. Um,
Yeah.
but this may work out for some of the other drivers being able to get some sort of pit strategy here. I mean, we are only about a quarter, just over a quarter of the way in. So, I mean, to me, now would be a good time to get a fresh set of tires and see if you can make a run up here with the leaders. If Patrick Hernandez, decide to stay out along with Zachary Johnson, as these guys stay out, they don't get tires or fuel or anything, and it gives you another shot while these guys are running on worn tires. And you and I have seen week in and week out that what worn tires do is you start
Oh yeah.
losing. You start losing a lot of speed. You kind of start fading off. You start riding up the track while somebody on the fresher tires is able to kind of scoot around here. If you're already in the back of the field, you got nothing to lose. It'd be a good time to go ahead and go ahead and make this move now, and then work your pit strategy a little later on.
And it looks like Molinex is going to go ahead and get that free pass there to get that lap back as you see him go around that pace car there. He's going to catch the tail end of the pack. Right now, folks, you still got Patrick Hernandez in that 19 machine holding off Kelsey in that 18. Got Whitehead up there as well. You got Hutchison and Zachary Johnson up there as well. And as you see, the 8 and the 5 machines are back up there in the mix as well, Patrick. It's just unfortunate to see that happen. But here we go, folks. We're about to catch that green flag once again here in the International Racing League. This is lap 27 going on 28. And let's go racing, boys, here at Phoenix Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I believe Toby Kelsey's definitely going to want to get the right jump on this one. With him starting from the outside, this is not going to be easy because Patrick Hernandez is going to try to take off, so you got to dump it.
There he goes right there, Patrick. We watched it from the cockpit of Kelsey. Patrick Hernandez got a huge jump there. As you see a few cars, as you mentioned, take that inside lane there. You see the 5 and 8 right at the tail end of these two cars. See the 24, Zachary Johnson is right behind the 8 and the 5. Trying to get around these two as you see the 5s creeping up right in front of the 8 again there, Patrick. We're going to see deja vu happen here. Cue up to Denzel Washington as you're starting to see there. You see the 8 and 5 are still battling it out there, but it looks like Colette has reeled Patrick Hernandez in, not letting him get that big green flag run that we saw before. But ladies and gentlemen, as this race proceeds, you're going to start seeing these cars bunch up more and more and more, as we mentioned to start this broadcast off. Oh!
Man.
The one machine of Colette just got really sideways there, down the backstretch. A great way to maintain that race car there. He's going to lose a lot of positions on the track due to the loss of speed.
But he has been trying for the past few laps to kind of fight his way up there. I knew he was kind of battling back there in the 7th, 8th position. But he's worked his way back up there, and unfortunately, kind of just tired. Just with the heat cycle, the tires are just giving him just too much to handle there.
Yeah, Patrick, and as you mentioned here, we're creeping up on almost halfway here at Phoenix, so you're going to start to see, oh,
Oh,
Molnex is still
man.
fighting that steering wheel there. As you see him brush the wall in that 9 machine, you'll start to see those green flag pit stops, I imagine, here pretty soon, Patrick, because you got to think, between the tire wear and the fuel mileage, you got to start creeping up on both those windows.
Definitely, and then you kind of were blessed with a caution there. So I mean, if you didn't pit, it's kind of on you at this point, unless during your practice and your crew chief, the conversations you were having before, whether if you can stretch it and hope for another caution, because you really don't want a green flag pit stop, because that is everybody at full speed racing around and getting ready to put you a lap down. So if we're out here running 28-second laps, and that's you going at 55 miles an hour through pit, you're going to be 2 laps down before you can make it out, and 2 laps down is a big hole to dig out of. And I would wait for a caution, but if you didn't pit during that last one, I'm hoping that hasn't sealed the deal for you here toward the end.
And talking about sealing the deals, Patrick Hernandez is trying to seal up his second win of the season here in the International Racing League, but got quite the job on his hand tonight. As you see, Toby Kelsey's up there trying to race for that lead. Looks like he's found an opportunity there, Patrick. Has found that draft line, and that's one of the things I was going to mention to start this broadcast off. You're not going to see a lot of tandem racing here in the draft, although it does come into play here in these stock car machines. It's not really the contributing factor on how you're going to catch somebody here at this track.
No, not at all. And just trying to find a line as the track kind of goes around. It's going to change. It's going to morph into a different being each time. Is earlier in the race you may be, rocking and rolling in a low line, and then you find out that you got to, 3/4 of the way rotate up halfway, and then toward the end you're back toward the bottom. It's just where the track is heating up and how the rubber's getting laid down each lap, and there's no way to tell unless with practice and as you go and the adjustments that you have to make throughout the race there, Will.
Yeah, but you saw right there, Kelsey really lost a lot of speed there, went to the high side there, and with that loss of speed, here comes Stone Hutchinson in that 5 machine, everybody's fan favorite in the chat. He's put himself back into contention after getting tangled up with his teammate there. He's now got a line on Toby Kelsey for second place. And you're seeing basically the same corner as this corner that all these drivers are having difficulties with, whether it's getting loose there, they're getting caught on the high side of that lane there, Patrick, and they're losing a lot of speed there. But the one driver that's not having difficulties with these corners is Patrick Hernandez, and I feel like if he could make a mistake and the drivers behind him can keep it clean, as you're starting to see they're reeling him in again, they just gonna be mistake free right behind Patrick, because Patrick's not gonna be the type of driver that's gonna make a mistake and be like, okay, I made a mistake, go ahead and pass me. It's your race to win. He's not gonna be one of those drivers that's gonna give up. Although he is humble in the interviews afterwards, Patrick, I really feel like behind the wheel there, he wants to win every race he's competing in.
I think any driver would like to win any race you're competing in, because it's a lot easier racing out in front, and not paying attention to your mirror than chopping around here in the back with whether you're in 4th or 5th or you're in 18th or 20th. You get nervous, and you have to keep your composure when you got so many other cars around you. But when you're out in the lead, man, all you have to do is worry about yourself. You're placing your lap times, where to hit the gas, where to hit the brake, and just do what you've been practicing all week, and just and make it happen. I mean, you're in the lead. If you're in the lead, you're the fastest, and you just need to maintain your speed.
Yes, sir. But it was nice to hear from Hernandez last week, and knowing that he didn't have the fastest car on the track, and his equipment was starting to fail on him. So he knew that in the humbleness of Hernandez, he knew that the race wasn't going to be his, and he was congratulative towards Dakota Todd in that win. But one of the drivers we're starting to see fade just a little bit is Colette, and that one who's now lost 2 positions after battling for the lead just a few laps ago there, Patrick.
Yeah, I saw he did get a pretty good run there on Stone Hutchinson, but it didn't. he wasn't able to keep it stuck. He got a pretty good run, kind of got right up behind him, and then it's kind of starting to fall off a little bit. I don't know if maybe he was having a little conversation with the crew chief, kind of telling him to, hey, take it easy on these tires, because we still have a long way to go as we just broke over the halfway mark, and it may just be kind of checking him up a little bit and kind of ride this out and let somebody make a mistake, and then you go ahead and capitalize rather than trying to burn these tires up so soon, making moves to fight up toward the front there, Will.
Yes, sir. And just as we crack the halfway mark here, ladies and gentlemen, if you folks are tuning in just right now, it has been Patrick Hernandez that has led the way here. Toby Kelsey's been up there as well, fighting for the lead. You saw Stone Hutchinson, who's now up to third position there, continued up with his teammate that I believe brought out our first or second caution of the night there, Patrick, but he's put his race car back into contention. You got Colette up there as well, who's raced for the lead there for a few laps. We were just mentioning how he's fading back just a little bit. You got Whitehead in sixth position. Zachary Johnson, who had a lot of confidence going into this race here tonight. You saw him get loose about 10 or 15 laps ago. Watch out there. As you see Molnex coming back up onto the track there. Faded a little bit in that 24 machine. You see Tollier back as well, the seventh position. And I believe, Patrick, the eighth position is...
Yeah, Molnax. Yeah, unfortunately, he's 11 laps down at this point. I'm glad to see him out here kind of representing the sponsors, but I'm just wondering, I think he may be having a mechanical issue getting around this track.
Yeah, it's not an easy track. Definitely, for me up in the booth here, I'm still trying to figure it out myself here, and I can say from my experience racing here at Phoenix, it's not the most easiest track to have fun at. Between the corners and the straightaways and the front stretch are barely that at all there, Patrick. You start going there, you start letting the thing go wide out on the front stretch and back stretch, and all of a sudden you got another corner, and these corners are all different. So it's not like you're racing at a speedway or super speedway race. As we mentioned, that corner there, you can go way low if you want to, but again, like you mentioned, you're hitting that icy corner. This corner is a little bit more tight as you have to keep that car on the yellow line there. And then you swing around back to this semi front stretch or back stretch here, and then you hit these little tiny corners again, Patrick. So it is definitely a tricky race to race if you're not used to that on the wheel.
Yeah, and as you can see there, right when we got on Hutchinson's gearbox here, that you kind of heard his tires sliding a little bit. So I'm wondering if the track's kind of starting to cool down a little bit, and these cars are going to start getting pretty slick. Yeah, as you can kind of hear how he's accelerating there. He may be fighting that car a little bit there, Will, trying to get around this track.
And I believe, Patrick, looking at the chat there, Austin Whitehead said, "Let's go East Tennessee, boys." Dakota Ashley, another fan of those 3 and 8 machines, said that Hutchinson boy got a fast car tonight, fellas, and that's true. You see Stone Hutchinson's back up there in contention after getting tangled with their teammate. Then one of the chats said, Stella said the crawler has Johnson 9 seconds back. I've had Tollier 3 seconds back. So looks like that has changed just a little bit there. It says Johnson is 11 seconds behind and Tollier is 6 seconds behind there, Patrick.
I believe so. I have Hernandez at 29 seconds. The last lap, we got Toby down by a second. Stone Hutchinson off by 2.5. Colette by just about 2.5 as well. Lucas off by about 6. Zachary Johnson 18. Brian Toller at 25, and it looks like Molnex may have taken it in the pit road. So I will, in the process of your wonderful producer here, I'm going to try to see if I can fix that crawler for you all.
Yeah, no worries there. Oh, man, as you see the 5 machine scraping the wall there, he might be having some issues there. Patrick, you saw him just brush up against that wall. He's going to lose some positions there on the track. Colette's going to overtake him there. Saw Stone Hutchinson up there racing pretty good in the 3rd position, but he may have, as we talked about, had a little difficulty on the wheel. And as this race proceeds here, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see that tire wear start to come into a major factor here towards the end, as he is now down into the 4th position as Colette was able to overtake. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are on lap 50 here with 30 laps to go. We'll start seeing those green flag pit stops come into play here, and we'll see who wants to take those gambles here and see who's going to be able to take this prize home here at the end. But, Patrick, once those pit stops start coming into play there, you're going to start seeing that leaderboard start to shuffle just a little bit there. Who's going to be a good gambler here tonight and stay out there? As you see, Hernandez is still leading the way there. keeping Kelsey right in that second position. And doesn't seem like Hernandez wants to make any mistakes here tonight at Phoenix.
No, and he's definitely got his timing down as he's kind of trying to truck around here and stay out front. Because he's doing a great job, being able to keep these tires and everything in one piece. I mean, like I said, Phoenix is very, very tough on the tires, especially for the Xfinity cars that are they're so much wider, being able to kind of stay on there. So, I mean, Patrick Hernandez is doing a great job putting this thing around the track. I'm just, I don't have much to say other than that, man. He's making a great job of this track.
Yeah, we're taking an onboard ride right now with Patrick Hernandez, and these onboard cameras are brought to you by 10-4 Broadcasting. As you see, Patrick is just sort of just easing himself around this track here tonight and not really having any problems. As we creep down into one, just slides right down into the backstretch. You see that car right in his way there. He's going to slide right around Mullinex in the 9. That was pretty close there, Patrick. As you see, he's just sort of gliding around this track, and the more momentum and the ease the ease that he takes his track with here tonight, it's not going to bode well for the rest of the field.
No, and you see he's really not fighting the car much at all. I mean, I think if he's doing so well on his tires, he might actually run out of fuel before he runs out of tire life. Because you just see he's kind of taking it easy, and it's doing what he wants it to do. So I mean, it's great to see them doing it, but I mean, I believe so far, I mean, even Patrick Hernandez, Colette, and Stone Hutchinson have pit on lap 25. As we got Toby Kelsey just pit on 53, so he's on his way out on the way out there now. So it's gonna
be close, Patrick.
Yeah, we're gonna have to kind of keep an eye on this because if they're kind of hitting that fuel window, I mean, he may have to kind of clutch it around here to see if he can stretch it out a little farther, or if some of these other guys are gonna.
He's going to have to stretch it about 25 laps. If my math is correct there, I might be wrong on my math there, Patrick. Math was never my strong suit in school, but looking at that there, if he put on lap 25 there, and you want just a brief estimate of about 35 laps on those on the fuel tank and tires, he's going to start creeping up on that window there with probably about 10 laps, 5 laps to go there. So it's going to be close there for that 19 machine, as you just saw him get loose coming out of the corner. First time I've seen him get loose all night there, Patrick. But as you said, he might be, for a lack of a better term, babying that thing around here at Phoenix, knowing that he is about a 4-second lead there. He can kind of ease back, and like I always like to say, he's sipping on his Perrier water up there, listening to some smooth jazz, looking out for Ricky Bobby in his rear view mirror. But right now, it's just his type of race. As you might see, nope, I thought he was going low there to head down pit road, but that 19 machine still keeping it out there on the track there, folks, as we're looking at around 23 laps to go here at Phoenix.
Yeah, and it seems, I believe, Colette, he is still out there as well. So him and Stone Hutchinson in the 5. Oof. Yeah, in the 5 car, those two guys have also been out here just as long, and I believe the rest of the field is pit. So these guys kind of stretching it right here toward the end. The ones that have pit are out there running a second and a half faster, so they really need to kind of keep in mind what they're doing, as the lap cars will put themselves back on the lead lap. And then they're going to be on the back foot trying to catch up. So I mean, at this point, I'd probably pit now. You know what I mean? Because Hernandez's fastest lap was a 27.9. Right now, he's running a 29.2. So I mean, he's falling off a bunch. So he may have to get this into pit soon, Will.
Yeah, and one of the names that I would keep an eye out for that has already pit there, Patrick, we just saw him on the screen just a minute ago making a pass on Colette in that 1, is Zachary Johnson in that 24. Seems like Zachary's got a lot of speed after making that pit stop there, sort of zooming around the track. And as you mentioned, once these dominoes start to fall and these guys start seeing those windows close for them and they have to head down pit road, it's basically going to be the last person standing, almost like a free-for-all on Halo, if you will, or Call of Duty, where you can beat out the rest of the people just by purely, or a Warzone for another example there. You can beat out everybody else on the track just for being the person out there the longest. I mean, the 24 machine went ahead and got that, the pit out of the way there, and going to keep that 24 machine out there on the track. And once you start seeing those dominoes start to fall and you're the last person standing, you're like, oh man, these guys are way behind me. I might have a little bit more wear on my tires. I might have less fuel than them, but at this point, this race could be mine.
Yeah, but I mean, there we go. I believe we got Patrick Hernandez, Stone Hutchinson, and Colette just hit pit road. There we
All
go.
together, the trifecta. And folks, we are creeping up towards the end of this race here. Got less than 20 laps to go here at Phoenix here in the International Racing League, and we want to appreciate everybody for tuning in here tonight at 10-4 Broadcasting. We want to invite everybody, if you're liking what you are seeing here tonight, go check us out on Facebook at 10-4 Broadcasting on there, as well as YouTube. Go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, notification button on there as well. We are live every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday here at 10-4 Broadcasting. And Patrick, for the races that we've called here in the International Racing League, it is always a blast for us up here in the booth. It is always action-packed racing, and tonight has been the same here. A lot of moving parts in these races that we see out of this league, and some of the most cleanest racing we've seen across the board.
Yeah, we only had a couple tumble ups, but as you were saying, a lot of moving parts. We got Toby Kelsey out here in the lead, I believe, and he is really putting a hurting on Patrick Hernandez with 5 seconds ahead of him. Now, keep in mind that Kelsey pit on lap 53, and Hernandez pit on lap 61. So, will tires come into effect? Is fuel going to come into effect? Because as you can see, it's paying off right now. But Hernandez, definitely with the fastest laps here going on, as we're starting to reel him in by about 4.5 seconds. So I probably give it, maybe less than 10 laps, and we may have a battle for the lead here, Will.
Yeah, Toby Kelsey is one of those cars that have kept their nose out there, Patrick, sort of like in the mix. As I mentioned to start this broadcast off, keep an eye out on those guys in the third, fourth position. It's really those cars that we've seen throughout the International Broadcasting or the International Racing League here on week 4. Throughout these broadcasts here, it's the guys that kind of linger back to kind of take notes, kind of strategize on what they're going to do. And you're seeing it here, folks. You saw Toby Kelsey get that pit out of the way early. Oh my goodness, that was close there. You still see that 18 car out there is keeping it clean, but you saw him kind of lingering back there. Didn't really try to fight up there towards the lead. You saw a little battle ensue for about a lap or two, Patrick, but after that started to lay back a little bit, take care of his equipment, and he must have known in the back of his mind that, hey, if I get this pit stop out of the way before the rest of these guys, I can put my car out there in a better position to win than they would. And you saw the trifecta of those cars heading down pit road, and as you mentioned, Patrick, what that's going to do, though, it's going to create quite the gap between Toby Kelsey up here in the lead. You see Hernandez is a solid, from what I'm seeing on the grid there, about 3 seconds behind. You see Colette, who is in second position. He's now, I'd say, about 8 seconds behind there, Patrick. And now Stone Hutchinson, he's registering a lap down on the track. So that's really what happens there if you wait too long on the track.
Yeah, and whether Toby Kelsey can hold this out. I mean, we've got Patrick Hernandez within 2.5 seconds now. So, I mean, it's they're going to kind of they're obviously running him down, but how long can you hold him? Can you keep the race line well enough to stay out front? I mean, this is all strategy. We may have they may have one more pit. I would assume Patrick Hernandez probably will not have to pit for as long as he went. I think he was able to stretch that thing almost 30 to 40 laps. So he won't need to pit again. I don't know if Toby will have to pit again. If he does, that's going to be unfortunate, and you're going to pray for a caution at that point, Will.
Right. I mean, I'm already starting to get sweaty here up in the booth, Patrick, because I have a feeling we might have a finish like we had on Tuesday night in the Virtual Racing League, where it was .001 was the final finish there. One of the closest finishes I've ever witnessed, whether it's in real life racing or simulator racing. It was the bumper bar, which was the deciding factor there in the end. And the way, Hernandez is starting to reel him in there, folks. We're going to have less than 11, 12 laps to go here, and he's starting to close that gap as the laps proceed, and we might have a battle with about 3 or 4 laps to go there for the lead. But as you mentioned, Patrick, Hernandez is going to have the more fresher tires, the freshies, if you will, and he's going to have more speed on that equipment, and once he catches them, it's going to be hard for Kelsey to keep him off.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's only ahead by half a second. So, yeah, this not what you want to see coming in the rear view. As you can see, boy, he's just absolutely reeling him in. So, he's going to Hernandez is going to put some moves on him here in a second. Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like Colette and Lucas,
Ooh.
they're about 15 seconds off the back bumper of
Yeah.
off
No.
Hernandez. But man, you're
You
about to
see.
see dicing up here in just a second here, Will.
Yeah, and you're gonna start to see Kelsey starting to get a little bit
There we
desperate
go.
on that wheel. Oh man, and see if the 18 is gonna try to make some blocks here. Because he knows that Hernandez is right on his tail. Is he gonna be able to keep him off of there? Or is he gonna do the old Olay and let him go by?
But did you
But you
see
see right
chopping
now,
that dog
folks.
leg? Did you see chopping that dog leg? How it pulled him farther ahead? And
Yeah.
that's the positive getting ahead. But man,
Oh
it
gosh.
definitely takes the wear on them tires when you get ready to make this turn here, Will.
They're side by side here, folks. Hernandez is going to go to the inside, trying to get around the 18 there. He's going to clear him by a long shot there. He's going to lead this lap. Hernandez is going to cut that corner. And there goes Kelsey trying to do that inside lane there, Patrick, as they head down to the corner once again. This is a two-car battle for the race win here at Phoenix. Patrick Hernandez is back up into the lead in that 19. You're starting to see him pull away there, folks. And gosh, almost like a mirage, like a lake in a desert, if you will. You start to see that get further and further away. You almost refer back to Tom Hanks and Wilson there. You start to see that volleyball starting to drift away more and more and more. And Kelsey's on the mic just yelling, Wilson, Wilson, as he's starting to see Hernandez is pulling away further and further away. Oh my goodness, you do not want to see that with less than 6 laps to go here at Phoenix.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking. It kind of pulling away from you there. But hey, he got some laps in. That should score some points for his league and his points running. But yeah, you have to give hats off to Patrick Hernandez's crew chief at this point with the idea of being able to pit so much later and knowing that you have the confidence to, to run Kelsey down the way he did, and then just absolutely take off. Because I mean, we're here with about five to go, and Hernandez is just pulling away, and doing, and I mean, even laying some great times there.
Yeah, and you saw it last week, Patrick, at the conclusion of that race. You saw Dakota Todd wait his time with the fresher equipment, got around Hernandez and Taylor and took off, similar to what we're seeing here from Patrick Hernandez. And boy, Patrick, this is going to be, if he can keep this momentum, keep it clean here for the finish, this will be 2 wins in less than 4 races here in the International Racing League. And man, to have that many wins and that many races, it's gonna be a good season for Patrick, I assume, here the rest of the way.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of unfortunate, kind of seeing how some of these other drivers, with Stone Hutchinson there getting into the side of the other vehicle earlier in the race, which is kind of a bummer. But man, I mean, good racing. The way I look at it, even if you finish a couple laps down, you finish the race. I mean, some people, it's a catastrophe. You got fenders all bent up, tires blown out, engines blown up, and it's heartbreaking. Going around the track. But hey, we got a running car, and we're staying out. We're staying in contention. So I like how these guys are able to keep their head in the game and keep going on around here, Will.
Yes, sir. And we saw Stone put his name back into the mix there for a little bit there. Got his car up to, I think the highest position he was up to was about third. So great run out of Stone there. And I know he has a lot of fans in the chat. And on that last green flag run there, we started to see those green flag pit stops come into play. And you saw his name kind of get shuffled around there a little bit. And, Stone's up to down to about seventh now. So as you mentioned, Patrick, good effort there from Stone Hutchinson. But ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Patrick Hernandez is going to go ahead and take that white flag here next time around. And boy, with a 4-second lead there, he can crack open that pure water, crank up that smooth jazz, because he knows this race is his. On this final lap here, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Hernandez is basically taking a victory lap around Phoenix here. We get a opportunity to check out that paint scheme as he has taken his victory lap around Phoenix. He has no competition here on the last lap. The closest driver is Toby Kelsey, about 4 seconds behind him here, folks, as he is rounding around the last corner here. And Patrick Hernandez is going to take home the victory here at Phoenix Motor Speedway. His second win on the season in 4 races here in the International Racing League. And Patrick, he did it in quite an impressive fashion.
Yes, and pulled away. I mean, he got past Toby. He was behind by 6 seconds and then beat him by 5. I mean, just unfortunate by Kelsey. I hate using him as a reference marker, but it just goes to show you the gap. I mean, being able to make an 11-second gap in a matter of 15 laps. I mean, it's not easy to do. Being able to kind of pull around here and get around to some of these other drivers is not it's not easy, and being able to get where you need to be is just what an excellent call by Pitt. I mean, his driving was one thing, but that pit strategy, I can't think of a better situation than how that ended up there, Will.
Yeah, that was quite impressive for me up here in the booth. We talked about it there at the midway point about how he was virtually gliding around the track here at Phoenix, never really got loose, never really had any problems. And it's on the restarts as well there, Patrick. He really got rocket restarts there coming around the corner. We have to throw him in some of our modified leagues there because the way he was doing those restarts there is similar to what we see in the modifieds where they have to come around the corner and launch. And Hernandez really timed those perfectly here tonight. And as you mentioned, that pitch strategy was, I mean, almost like an Einstein type strategy where they calculated it, they got it down just to science. And you saw him pit with 2 other cars, but you just saw the skillfulness and the driver behind that wheel just kind of take over there. And not only did he get past those 3 other cars that he pit with, but he, like you said, he was down by about 6 seconds and ended up winning by 5. So what a way to turn things around here. Like I'm hoping the Dallas Mavericks turn it around here tonight as they're down by 13. But you see Patrick Hernandez picking up his second win of the season here, folks. And last week he had a shot at the victory as well at Vegas, but he was humble in saying that his equipment failed on him towards the end, and maybe coming into this week, Patrick, he really kept that in the back of his head of knowing when to pit and when to strategize those pit stops to make sure his car is in contention.
Yeah, man, what a run! I mean, just yeah, with the top three there of Hernandez, Kelsey, and Colette. I mean, I was hoping Colette was going to take this win. I knew Hernandez says he wasn't feeling too confident about this track, but his driving tells me otherwise. How he came around here, Will, and it's really a shout out here to the International Racing League of being able to bring us out here to 10-4 broadcasting and bring it to everyone watching out there to see a race like this in the Xfinity cars here at Phoenix. I mean, this was a race to see. I mean, we had a few lead changes. Patrick Hernandez did walk away with this, I mean, in good fashion, being able to, I mean, just absolutely pull away there, and then to catch up even behind with a late pit strategy. I didn't think he was going to pull it out there, Will, but I mean, it shows me up because that's why I was saying I'm not making any picks before the race.
No, I've stayed away from picking race winners as well, Patrick. But if you want to run the folks at home through our official results there, I'll go ahead and round up the top 3 for those post-race interviews.
Alrighty. And it looks like Patrick Hernandez took away your race win today here at Phoenix. Toby Kelsey came behind in second in the number 18 car. The number 1 machine of Colette placed third, with Lucas Whitehead placing a good top 5 out there. One of those mountain boys in fourth. We got Zachary Johnson in fifth. So look, yeah, good top 5 there from Zach. We got Brian Toller and the 2 machine in sixth. Stone Hutchinson, man, almost after a little bit of a tussle up there, and I saw he pit about the same time as Hernandez did. Came in seventh. We got Molnix having a little bit of issues there with some mechanical issues, and I believe that should round out the top 8. I know Kulikowski and Jeremy Taylor may have had some issues, if not playing a little race control tonight. We should round out your top 10 there, Will.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. I believe we're catching up with our third place finisher of Terry Collette, and Terry did a great job of putting his race car back into contention here tonight. Excuse me. And Terry, this is Patrick and Will up here in the 10-4 broadcast with you. Got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Man, another exciting race here in the International Racing League. It was definitely a tricky track here at Phoenix. We were talking about here on the broadcast where you really have to work that wheel. You have to get that feedback down just right to make sure you kind of glide around the track here tonight. And We didn't see many instances here tonight. We saw about two or three cautions. I think the teammates just got tagged up between each other, between the 5 and the 8. But kind of take us through your point of view of tonight's race and what led you to fight your car back into contention there to take home the podium finish.
Well, I on the beginning of the race, I got second position, and I started on the outside. And once we went green, I fell back to fourth or fifth, and I had to gain back, get my spots back. It was hard to keep the momentum up on the top. So they got past me, so I had to pass them, and then I got past the 8 and was stuck behind the 5, and I was trying to get around him. And when we came on that last pit stop, that green flag pit stop, he got on pit road before I did, and uh, he came out before me. And then all of a sudden, I think he gassed it a little too hard and spun out and hit the wall. And if he didn't do that, we would have had a battle for third. And it was a great race. I was just trying to hold on and take it easy and go easy on my tires.
Yeah, we were talking about that up here in the booth. It's really like a strategic race here in the International Racing League. You almost have to calculate your pit windows, your laps on your tires and all that good stuff there, Terry. And we saw you working through the race there. It was you kind of faded back a little bit and put your car back into contention. And did you feel like that maybe was there anything that you could do to catch up to Patrick Hernandez in that 19 machine, or did you kind of feel like that he had the fastest car on the track here tonight?
I definitely wasn't going to catch Toby or Patrick. Um, it's very hard to. I'm a rookie in this, and I'm trying to get into this and uh, try to be better and trying to learn how to save tires and learn how to get in the throttle earlier and trying to get some run and momentum. So
Yeah, you're
For a
fine.
rookie, Terry, yeah, for a rookie there, Terry, I'd say you did an excellent job here tonight, and throughout the weeks, you've done an excellent job in that race car. And knowing that, it's kind of a surprise to us in the booth, knowing that you're a rookie, because the way you've raced here the past couple weeks, you wouldn't have known it from just an outside point of view, and just the way you kind of handled tonight's situation of working your way back up there and avoiding the mess, and strategically, knowing when to pit and getting those freshies on there and everything like that, and. Man, you really impressed us up here in the booth here to take home that podium.
thank you, man.
Of course, and I believe Patrick, you got a question for Terry here.
I was gonna say I was just as surprised as well as a rookie. I'm still a rookie as well. I mean, I started racing last June, but hey, you'll catch on quick. These tracks, each one of them's different. None of them's the same. I mean, obviously, most of them decide to destroy those right side tires, but these Xfinity cars are not an easy thing to handle with them being so wide. They tend to put a lot more pressure on that right rear tire. But hats off to you, man, being able to place the top three here and stay in contention. With you being a rookie, I mean that's something. What do you think you could have done different to increase or kind of close that gap a little bit there on Kelsey or Hernandez?
Well, I really don't think I could have gained some, but at the end, I felt like I was gaining on the leader. I was gaining on Toby a little bit, but he was too far ahead. He was 12 seconds, 14 seconds ahead of me, and I closed down to 12. But there was not enough laps left to catch him, and I think I would have run my drove my tires off, and I wouldn't be able to catch him.
Yeah, no, that's all right, bud. I mean, heck, next race when you make a little adjustment of that steering ratio, and that'll I think you'll square yourself away for a win here pretty soon there, Colette.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Terry. With that podium finish, though, we do love to give you drivers an opportunity to shout out any sponsors you may have had on the side of that race car, or anybody you might have had watching here tonight.
I want to thank my sponsor, FamTrad. I appreciate them sponsoring me, and shout out to Chase Turner. I want to thank my dad for letting me do this, and I want to thank Philip and Patrick and everybody that's involved in this for letting me race.
Alrighty, Terry. Well, we look forward to seeing what you have in store for us next week as we head to Atlanta on June the 2nd. And again, great job getting that car back up into the top three and a great race here tonight at Phoenix.
Thank you.
That was Terry Collette there in that nine machine, or the one machine, excuse me. And Patrick, to know that he's a rookie and to see how he was battling here tonight and throughout the weeks here, man, I would have had no idea he was a rookie up here in the booth.
Yeah, I mean, and we've all been there, as a rookie. I mean, it's painstaking. It hurts. I mean, you end up you have your good weeks, you have your bad weeks, and it's really kind of a bummer, driving around and then you kind of people are passing you and you're like, man, I'm racing really well. It's just experience, and it would have fooled me with the way he was racing on the track tonight that he is a rookie. He handled himself not like a rookie. You know what I mean? His race
Right.
lines were well. He was trying to. I mean, even in his mind was, I've got to conserve tires. I got to watch, what he's doing to stay up front. So I mean, hats off to him. But it's the hard part. It's taking time. You can't go out. You got to learn to crawl before you can run.
That's it. And somebody who had an excellent run here tonight, and I believe you are catching up with him on pit road, and that's Toby Kelsey in that 18 machine. And Toby, this is Patrick and Will up here in the 10-4 broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got a copy.
Man, what a race! A little unfortunate, kind of. Patrick Hernandez ran you down there, man. Now, do you think you pit maybe a little too early, or did you kind of chew up the tires there early?
Well, you guys probably didn't see it, but there's a few laps where I was passing a lap car, and I guess they didn't have no awareness of their surrounding about wipe me out, so I lost a bunch of time doing that.
Yeah, I know. I noticed we saw you a couple of times. I think kind of having to swing real wide, try to get out of the way. But yeah, I mean, I knew the 24 car was having a little bit of a blinking issue, and I wasn't sure if that was anything you were running into out there tonight. But I mean, one heck of a run though. I mean, do you think you could have done anything different? Because I mean, Patrick Hernandez did seem to have the car tonight, and I kind of was thinking you did too there, but I wasn't sure if the tires or fuel came in as a factor there in the kind of in the last 20 laps there.
Yeah, when we was evenly on even tires, it was about second back from each other. So I'd say we was pretty evenly matched, and so my thought process is, hey, I'm gonna pit early, try to make up that second, and get a good lead where he can't run me down with it. And I think it was like 22 to go, I believe, but he caught me with 10 or 9 to go.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good run, but I mean, your driving style, you stayed out front. I mean, I think you led about 21 laps, I think, somewhere around there. And I mean, you were able to stay out front there, kind of keep pushed forward, but just couldn't hold them off long enough. But hey, we still have a podium, we still have a second place finish, and you got to be happy about that.
Yeah, for sure. For not racing last week, I'll take a second. And unfortunate auto club, I had a fast car there too. I think I was running third through second, passed in second, and the belt ended up breaking on my wheel, and it just spun me.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that stings. I was gonna say, but I'm glad to see you here at Phoenix. So, assuming since you missed last week, at Vegas, you should be. Will we see you at Atlanta on the 21st?
Yes, sir. I'll be
Yeah.
there.
Excellent. And how are you feeling about that track?
I really honestly haven't turned any laps to it. I'm actually new to iRacing. I'm about just 2 months into it.
Oh wow, 2 months. There's another one. Will 2 months into it, and we got
Yeah.
place in second place here. That's impressive. Yeah, Atlanta's very very difficult on these Xfinity cars. They kind of try to walk up the track, and you do have to chase them around a good bit. So I know they'll be a little difficult. It's not like the next gen cars. You can almost drive those things with two fingers. You gotta have your hands on a pretty good grip on the wheel on these. But yeah, man, I hope we see you at Atlanta next week. Good attendance keeps you in the good points running. I believe Will might have a question for you right here at the end.
Yeah, Toby, as Patrick was mentioning there with the pit stops, When did you feel like the strategy was coming into play? And as you mentioned there, those lap cars kind of getting in your way there. Did you start to feel that Hernandez, pitting with a little bit, later than you may have been coming on your tail? Maybe it was just kind of an event. I can't say the word. You kind of knew it was going to happen there, but did you feel like that maybe if, the lap cars didn't slow you down, it would have been more of a battle there towards the end?
I, I feel like it would have been more of a battle, but he was pretty quick. I I don't know how much time I lost to the lap car, but it was pretty good. There was a few times where I was actually passing on apron, and they decided to just come down, and we was like just 2 inches from hitting each other, and I was sliding everywhere. So, but
That's it.
other than that, congrats to Patrick. He was lights out. 19 cars been pretty fast this season.
Yeah, yeah, and he was just taking a little bit of advantage of that door draft, so you'll find that that'll help. But man, you guys got to be kind of seasoned with each other before you start kind of doing that, because if no one can guess your next move, that's how you end up in a pile up there toward the back. But we'll let you go. Appreciate you coming out and showing up for the International Racing League tonight. But we do want to let you give you an opportunity to give any shout outs for any of your sponsors.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Doobie Energy. It's an energy powder. And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
use the promo code Toby Kelsey, you get 10% off your order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Doobie is an awesome sponsor. They actually sponsor the High Octane Sim Series in our Friday Night League, so definitely go check them out and throw in that coupon code that Toby just mentioned there of getting that 10% off there if you don't want to drink those overpriced coffees or those energy drinks that make you shake or crash or anything like that. So awesome sponsor there, Toby, and a big congratulations for getting that second place finish here tonight. And we're looking forward to seeing what you have in store for us in Atlanta next week.
Okay, I appreciate it so much. Keep up the good content. I like it.
Yes, sir. We appreciate that. We wouldn't have the content we have if it wasn't for the awesome driving that you guys put forth on the track. But have a great night, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Yep, see you next Thursday.
Man, Patrick, to hear another rookie months into iRacing, man, if it was me on the track, Patrick, I'd be slipping and sliding all over the place. I wouldn't even know how to control the car if I was only a couple months into this. So it is awesome to see that people get into iRacing, one, and two, be able to control these cars. Because it's not like you're playing a video game where you can control the difficultness. Like if you were to play Halo, or, okay, I want it on normal mode, or I want it on All-Star mode, or All Madden. Once you get into iRacing, it is one difficulty across the board there, Patrick. You might be racing against other skillful drivers or people that have higher I ratings, if you will, but when it comes track to track, that's it. I mean, you're in the race car, and if you're slipping and sliding, you got to fight the car. It's your race. But to see these rookies out here really putting forth a awesome effort week in and week out, it's really impressive.
I know, but it kind of does give you that false sense of security, though. I mean, you do with two rookies here placing, in the top three. Yeah, it makes yeah, I can do it. I can get up there, but it's a lot harder and a lot more technical than it seems, and that's what I really enjoy about the game. It's not your no offense, it's not your NASCAR heat, where you're going out there ricocheting off the wall or using somebody to bounce off their door to make the turn. Here, this actually requires skill. It requires forethought, being able to, what comes next. It requires pit strategy to place in the top 10. I mean, just in the top 10. So, I mean, to see rookies here in the top three, that's a feat in itself. That's a great shout out there for Colette Kelsey here tonight, as I believe you are catching up with Patrick Hernandez, Will.
Yeah, I was just about to say a guy that checks all those boxes that you were just mentioning there, Patrick, of driver's skill and the wherewithal week in and week out. It definitely checks all the boxes to our race winner here at Phoenix, Patrick Hernandez. And Patrick, man, that's 2 wins and 4 races here in the International Racing League. We saw you kind of gliding around the track here at Phoenix. You didn't really have any problems at all. Never really saw you get loose at all either. Take us through your point of view of tonight's action and what led you to pick up your second win on the season.
Man, simple. My car was lights out, man. I really had really good practice, Plus, I love this track. Like I said last week, this is my playground. Every time I come here, I do well. Man, I don't know what to say, man. The car was great on short runs, on long runs. The pit stops were great. No, I can say that the entire race was flawless. So I don't know, man. It was a great effort on my part, and the car, man, the car was a beauty on the track. It was on rails, man.
Yeah, well, we noticed that up here in the booth. We took an onboard ride with you for a few laps there, and just sort of seemed like you were just gliding around Phoenix here tonight. And I think we only had maybe two or three cautions the entire race, so it actually gave you the opportunity to kind of glide out in the front a little bit more there, Patrick. But things started to heat up a little bit more there towards the end. Let's say the last quarter of the race or so. You had a little bit of competition up there racing with you. What led to you kind of staying out a little bit later, making that pit stop? And did you feel like once you got those freshies on that race car that you were kind of just going to fly away? Because we saw you, it was a 6 second lead that Kelsey had, and you ended up winning the race by 5 seconds.
Yeah, man. I saw him like coming to pit way early than that somebody can anticipate. I said, man, he came in too early, so my only shot is to stay out as long as I could. So I stayed out like 12 laps, and I said, well, by this point, I, I knew he's gonna pass me, because I was really committed to my strategy. But in the end, I had fresher tires, so going to the front, I was concerned at some point, like when he passed me getting out of pit row, I was like, okay, I hope this works. That was the only moment when I was really concerned about it. But then, like 3 laps into a run, I saw that I was closing the gap like really big. I said, okay, I he's gonna come to me like eventually. And at some point, I pushed a little bit more that the car could handle, and I almost spun out on turn three. And I said, okay, let's slow down. I I know I'm faster, so let's try to do clean laps, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I think I know exactly the moment that you were talking about there. I think it was the one moment the entire race I where I may have saw you just get a little loose. We saw the tail end kind of just wiggle just a little bit, but other than that, you just raced a flawless race here at Phoenix. I think you led, I'd say all but maybe 5 or 6 laps here tonight. And I believe my co-host Patrick Morrison has a quick question for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, that car was on rails tonight. With as Will was saying, we were on car, and I noticed the way you were leaning into the throttle, coming out of the throttle. I mean, you almost felt the track on this one, didn't you?
Oh yeah, man. Like my style of driving this track is just like slow in, fast out, and if you see the replay, I was rarely pushing on the entry, so that helped me to set the car into the bottom and then have a nice exit, almost full throttle.
Yeah, with taking that later pit strategy, how are you doing on fuel? I was worried about the fuel window kind of getting a little tight there toward the end.
By the last caution, I came into pit road and I topped it off to change tires. But then when that last pit stop arrived, I was like 10 laps good on fuel.
Okay.
I still have fuel for another 10 laps, but I was afraid that if I stay out longer, then I was not gonna have enough time to catch Kelsey when he passed me out of pit road. So that's why I decided to stay out like 8, 9 more laps, and at that point I had better tires. So
Right. Yeah, and one caution may have foiled your plan there. So good luck on you with being able to keep a green flag through that one.
yeah, man, I was in my mind like no cautions, no cautions, no cautions, no cautions.
Yeah, and then
Oh man.
you would have had to bunch it up, but I mean, yeah, great bunch of races here with your second win on the year. But you do have Atlanta coming up, and you'll be back in the Xfinity car. How you feeling about that track?
Atlanta, I feel is gonna be almost the same as Las Vegas. I'm not bad on it. I'm not great on it. I'm like a 50-50. But again, I'm gonna give my maximum effort and try to save a top five.
Oh man, okay, so I was gonna say you're gonna make that shout out. You're gonna call your shot for a top five. So Excellent. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on you for that top 5 spot there, Mr. Hernandez, and the 19 car. So, right before we let you go, you want to give any shout-outs?
Yeah, man, I want to give a shout out to everyone on the International Racing League, everyone that is part of this league that makes uh, this league possible, and decide to race with us and have a little bit of relaxation time. I want to say thank you to everyone, to Phil, to all the admins, to all the drivers. Thank you for being here to make this possible, and thank you guys for a great broadcast. I've been watching the old replays, man, top notch broadcasting, and I don't have anything else, man.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it, man. And 10-4 appreciates broadcasting you here in the International Racing League. Every time you're out front, man, we got eyeballs on you.
Gosh, it's funny to hear. It's funny to hear you say, Patrick, that it's relaxing for you. Of course it is. You're up in the lead most of the time with nobody around you. So of course it's relaxing
well,
for you.
well, not every time is relaxing, but
Right.
for me, like I tell the guys, I've been doing this for almost 15 years, so
Wow.
like I already been in the highs and the lows, so I do this
Right.
for fun. If I wreck, I wreck. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
I take every result with a lot of optimism, and and it's part of it, man. Like this is my hobby. This is almost my life, so I have no
Yeah.
pressure on it. So
It's funny you say that you've been doing it for about 15 years, and we'll let you go here in just a second. But I wanted to ask you this question here. We had two rookie drivers finish right behind you in second and third, I believe. Kelsey said he's only been doing it for maybe 2 or 3 months. The other drivers said they had only been doing it for less than a year. What do you think about these rookies that are coming in to these race cars? Because as we mentioned just before we brought you in for an interview, it's not like you're playing like a regular console video game where you can adjust the difficultiness, or if you're playing like a Madden or a FIFA, you can say, well, I want to play it on normal mode, or I want to play it on all-star mode or legendary mode. In iRacing, it's one difficulty across the board. It's racing race cars. So what do you think about these rookies that are able to not only get into the game and control the car, but race like they raced here tonight?
man, talent, pure talent, man. Uh, like these days you have like so much resources because, like, for example, back in the day, I used to watch onboard cameras of every track to know that to see the acceleration point, the braking point, but these times, man, these kids come in with that natural talent, that you see that I was getting a run for my money the first couple laps with Kelsey, um, but yeah, man, it's like the natural talent that these kids are coming in, that I need to tip my hats off, um, I like that, that there's good competition even on a complex simulator like iRacing.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, Patrick, and it's awesome to see you pick up your second win in 4 races here in the International Racing League, and can't wait to see what you have in store for Atlanta on June the 2nd. But a big congratulations from us up here in the booth for picking up the win here tonight. You did it in pretty convincing fashion there, being down 6 seconds to winning by 5. So it's quite a show to see for us up here in the booth. And like I said, big congratulations for us here, and have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you on the track on Thursday.
Well, guys, see you all next week. Have a nice one. Take care, everyone.
Yes, sir. That was Patrick Hernandez, Patrick, and man, it's cool talking to him after the races here because last week he was humble enough to say, I didn't have the car, I made the wrong pit stop, things didn't work out too well, my equipment started to fail on me. But when he wins, Patrick, he has that confidence in his voice of knowing that he knows he's going to win throughout the race. Like it's interesting to hear that. When we spoke to him after the win at Auto Club, he said my car was on rails. There's nobody really that could have touched me in that race. And he had the same mindset here tonight at Phoenix, cars on rails again, and this is my playground, and good luck to the rest of the field.
Yeah, and it definitely changes the mindset when you're running out here. If you're calm, cool, and collected, and you're able to race up front, and you know your car is going to be good, you know you've got the talent, and you've raced here before and done well, it really changes the mindset of how you come in here. You're not panicking. Oh no, I made a bad qualified time. I really got to fight my way to the front, or oh no, I got kind of tangled up in one of the wrecks, and you're having a battle toward the front. When you've got a fast car, all you have to do is just do your thing. Do what you've practiced. Do what you've learned, and really, to me, not just the driving, but this all came down to pit strategy, and hats off, like we were saying, to Toby Kelsey and Colette out there in the one car. I mean, you're 15 years against rookies. I mean, it's the time will come where you'll kind of see the change in power. As that you start seeing Patrick Hernandez fall off, and these rookies start taking over and actually picking up speed from what they've learned. But I mean, that's where Hernandez was talking about raw talent. Is you see that these guys are just they get it, and they will be able to exceed what we have exceeded, and continue to grow this sport. So it's a real pleasure to see here, Will, and I enjoy watching every minute of it.
Gosh, yeah. Every week here at the International Racing League, we're always in for a treat. Tonight we had a bit of a smaller field than what we usually have in this race, but that didn't take away from any of the action here tonight. And as you see on the screen here, folks, Patrick Hernandez is your race winner, and he did it in quite a convincing fashion there. Patrick didn't really have much competition up there. He did mention that he battled a little bit there. Kelsey was up there battling with him a little bit. He still call that up there, but once the green flag runs started to play out there, and Hernandez on the jumps on the restart, a question that I neglected to ask him there, really timed those down perfect. And once those green flag pit stops came into play there with about 25, 30 laps to go, and he pit kind of later than the rest of the field, he knew that that was the perfect time to pit, because he was almost second guessing why those other guys pit so early, and knowing that confidence, and knowing, like you mentioned, having that mindset of knowing that you're going to reel in the rest of the field no matter what's going to happen there. And not only did he check out from the rest of the cars he pit with on those green flag pit stops there, he blew the doors off of Kelsey when he came up on him. There wasn't really anything Kelsey could do there. Saw Kelsey tried to block for a few laps, but she couldn't hold off the rocket there in that 19 machine. And as you mentioned, Patrick, it's interesting to hear that Hernandez has 15 years in the game, because a couple other drivers that we call in a few other leagues are only 15 years old. So it's interesting to hear that. And those drivers, we got Caden Tufts in the modifieds that wins week in and week out in that series. You got Landon Gentry in another series that wins there in the big show. And those drivers are only 14, 15 years old. So to hear Hernandez with 15 years of experience, it only shows, and like you said, it's the old guns will pass on to the new guys, and you're starting to see that here. But Hernandez is still holding on to that crown here in the International Racing League.
Yeah, it's eventually the torch will be passed. The key is to listen and learn from what these older guys are doing, and then make that style yours. So, but yeah, I mean, what a great race out here tonight, Will. And I'd like to give a shout out to everybody who commented up in the section on YouTube out here for 10-4 broadcast in the International Racing League. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for me, Will, as we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, Patrick, just looking forward to the race at Atlanta next week here in the International Racing League. That race will kick off at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live here on 10-4 Broadcasting. But that is not the end of the week for us here at 10-4 Broadcasting. Tomorrow night, folks, for those folks that are still watching here at 10-4 Broadcasting, we have a double header of iRacing action coming your way. We have a special Memorial Day race, the second to last race of the season, the High Octane Sim Series, which will take place at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also at the same time, Patrick, we're going to kick off a brand new league for us here at 10-4 Broadcasting. We're going to start with the Eastern Late Model Series there. That series is run by Jeff Clifton out of the East Coast Modified Series. Still time to sign up for that series if you are interested in racing some late models there. That series will kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well, live on YouTube for that race for the next 2 weeks there. Then it'll be across all our platforms. But on Saturday, Patrick, I guess you have the night off there for Memorial Day there in the Powerhouse Racing League. Then on Sunday, we're back with the East Coast Modified Tour. I believe we head to New Hampshire that week. And then on Tuesday night, it is back in the Virtual Racing League in the Modifieds as well. And that will be at 8 p.m. Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time there, Patrick. But Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight. If you're liking what you were seeing or like what you saw here, we invite you to go check us out on Facebook at 10-4 Broadcasting on there, and also check out our YouTube page as well. All of our leagues are categorized on there as well, so you can catch all the races here from the International Racing League as well across the board of our other leagues here. But before we close out the night here, we want to wish everybody a great rest of their night here. We want to wish everybody a great Memorial Day heading up here, and want you to remember what Memorial Day is all about and those fallen heroes out there that have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms here in the United States. But we want to wish everybody a great night, and we appreciate you tuning in here tonight, and we'll see everybody on the track.